Have you ever felt a profound, invisible weight pressing down on your very soul? A persistent heaviness that seems to anchor you in place no matter how desperately you fight to move forward. It's a feeling that logic can't explain and others can't see, a spiritual inertia that leaves you feeling utterly stuck, replaying the same cycles, fighting the same silent battles. If this message has found you, know that it is not by accident. Your spirit has called it forth. This is your sign, your divine permission slip to finally let go. If these words touch a deep truth within you, let the universe know by liking this message and subscribe to continue on this journey of awakening. And in the comments, I invite you to declare, "I am ready to release," or simply type 777 to affirm your alignment with this powerful shift. Let us know we are not alone in this sacred unburdening. There is a moment in every spiritual journey, a pivotal point of awakening, where you realize that the life you are living feels stagnant, like a river that has ceased to flow. You keep pushing against an unseen current, exerting every ounce of your will, only to find yourself in the exact same spot. Nothing truly moves. No matter how fiercely you try, no matter how many affirmations you recite, it feels as if you are carrying a burden that has become fused with your very identity, a weight that no longer belongs to you, if it ever did. This is the echo of a past you have outgrown, the shadow of an identity that no longer serves your higher self. That immense weight, that spiritual baggage, is the one thing you are still clutching, the one final chain that keeps you tethered to the past. It is the singular obstacle standing between you and the breathtaking clarity, the profound freedom, and the soul-level growth that is waiting for you, just on the other side of surrender. That weight is a master of disguise. It's not always obvious, not always a single, identifiable trauma. Sometimes it takes the form of a long-held grudge, a venomous root that has woven itself into the soil of your heart, poisoning every new seed you try to plant. It might be a false belief you absorbed in childhood, a limiting story about your worth or your capabilities that you've mistaken for an undeniable truth. Perhaps it is an outdated version of yourself, a ghost of who you once were that you keep trying to resurrect, terrified of embracing the magnificent, unknown being you are destined to become. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the most subtle and pervasive weight of all, the ego's desperate need to control outcomes, to manipulate the divine flow of the universe into a predictable, safe, and ultimately lifeless pattern. But whatever its form, whatever its name, this weight is sitting squarely between you and the life your soul is yearning to live. It is the veil that clouds your vision, the static that drowns out the whispers of your intuition, the anchor that holds you in a harbor of familiarity while the vast, beautiful ocean of your true potential calls your name. Herein lies the great spiritual paradox, the tricky part of this sacred dance. The longer you hold on to this weight, the more it begins to blend into the very fabric of your being. It seeps into your energy field, it alters your frequency, it becomes so intertwined with your identity that you begin to believe the weight is you. You start to think, this is just who I am. I am the anxious one. I am the unlucky one. I am the one who always gets hurt. And that, my friend, is the moment your life stops expanding. That is the moment your reality crystallizes. Not because it cannot change, not because the universe has ceased to offer you miracles, but because you, in your attachment to the familiar pain, will not allow it to. We are taught to confuse holding on with strength. Society celebrates the one who endures, the one who grits their teeth and bears the unbearable. But you must understand a higher truth. The real strength, the divine, unshakable power, is not found in the clenching of a fist, but in the courage to finally open your hand. The most profound act of power comes the moment you decide to loosen your grip, to release the chains you may not have even realized you were forging yourself. Because letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate declaration of self-worth. It is not an act of defeat, it is an act of profound liberation. Letting go is the sacred moment you decide that your inner peace, your divine connection to source energy, matters more than your ego's need to be right. It is the conscious choice to value your future, a future brimming with infinite possibility, more than you fear the ghosts of your past. It is the decision to stop fighting battles that have long since ended, to stop trying to win arguments with people who are not, and never were, on the same frequency as you. It is the release of the need to prove your worth to those who were never truly listening in the first place, whose perception of you was always a reflection of their own inner world, not your divine truth. And here is a secret that most people will never realize. True, lasting change doesn't always come from adding something new to your life. You don't need another course, another book, another guru, another routine to layer on top of the old heavy energy. Sometimes, the most powerful transformation comes from subtraction. It is about subtracting what no longer serves your highest vibration. Think about it. You are not a broken vessel that needs to be filled. You are an overflowing fountain that needs to be cleared of debris. You don't need a new book to tell you who you are. You need to unlearn the stories that told you who you weren't. You don't need a new course. You need the courage to walk a new path. You don't need a new routine. You need a new state of being. What you truly need, what your soul is crying out for, is space. You need space in your mind, a quiet field where new, empowering thoughts can be planted. You need space in your heart, an open sanctuary where authentic love can finally reside, starting with the love for yourself. You need space in your day, moments of stillness where you can hear the divine guidance that is constantly flowing to you. And the only way, the absolute only way to create that sacred space is to let go of what is currently cluttering it. This is the crossroads where most people get stuck. They stand at the precipice of change, yearning for a new reality, but they are still dragging the heavy, broken furniture of their past. They want change, but they are unwilling to release the very things that have been keeping them the same. You cannot evolve while clutching the relics of your old self. You cannot ascend to a higher frequency while your energy is tethered to the dense vibrations of yesterday. You simply cannot step into the glorious dawn of your tomorrow with your hands full of the sorrows of yesterday. When you finally release it, whatever it is for you, when you make that conscious, soul deep decision to let it all go, something miraculous happens. It feels like taking the first full, deep breath you didn't even know you were holding. It's a release so profound it echoes through every cell of your being. Suddenly, things just start to click into place. Your focus sharpens. The mental fog that has clouded your judgment for years begins to lift, revealing a path that was always there, just waiting for you to see it. The energy around you and within you begins to shift. It becomes lighter, clearer, more vibrant. You begin to attract different experiences, different people, different opportunities that match this new, elevated frequency. And in that moment of pristine clarity, you will realize the most profound truth of all. Your life didn't need to change. You did. The universe was never withholding its magic from you. You were simply too preoccupied with your old burdens to receive it. And the moment you change, the moment you align with your higher self, life responds with breathtaking speed and grace. Letting go isn't always some grand, dramatic, cinematic event. It doesn't always come with thunder and lightning. In fact, it's often quieter, more intimate, and more personal than that. Sometimes, letting go looks like finally, bravely, deleting that text message thread you've been rereading for months, the one that reopens the wound every single time. Sometimes, it's the quiet decision to not answer a phone call from someone whose energy consistently leaves you feeling drained and diminished. Other times, it is the simple, powerful act of choosing silence instead of trying to explain yourself, yet again, to someone who has already proven they are committed to misunderstanding you. This isn't about being cold or cutting people off in anger. It is about a sacred act of reclaiming your energy. It is about understanding that your life force is a precious, finite resource, and you are no longer willing to offer it to situations or people who do not honor and replenish it. We live in a world that constantly whispers, hold on, try harder, fix it, don't give up. But you are beginning to understand a deeper wisdom. Some things are not meant to be fixed. Some relationships are not meant to be salvaged. Some stories are not meant to have a different ending. Some things are only meant to be lessons powerful, catalytic lessons designed to teach you something profound about yourself. And then, they are meant to be released. If you keep going back, if you keep trying to rework the past, to control the narrative, to force a story to end the way your ego desires, you don't just lose your precious time. You lose yourself in the process. You lose your connection to your own divine truth. There is a reason you feel so tired all the time. It's not just the long days or the busy mind. It is the emotional weight. You are carrying invisible bags filled with the heavy stones of past regrets, the exhausting mask of people-pleasing, the paralyzing fear of disappointing others, and the constant, draining hum of overthinking. These bags are heavy, and they are invisible to everyone but you. And the wildest part? No one else even sees the weight you are carrying. On the outside, you are functioning, you are smiling, you are moving forward. But on the inside, you are dragging all that noise, all that weight, all that dense, heavy energy with you through every single day, and it is exhausting. Letting go is a decision. It is a conscious choice. It is not something that just happens to you when you finally feel ready. Because here's a hard truth. You will probably never feel ready. Your mind, your ego, is too attached to the comfort of the familiar. Even if something is hurting you, even if a situation is toxic, if it's familiar, your conditioned mind will keep choosing it. Why? Because the unknown is uncomfortable. The unknown is uncertain. But that is exactly where your freedom lives. That is where your expansion awaits. So when you finally look at your life and say, with every fiber of your being, enough, a shift begins. When you choose to drop the invisible load, you don't just gain clarity, you gain power. Real, authentic, spiritual power. Not the kind of power that controls others or forces outcomes, but the kind of power that makes you peaceful, no matter what happens next. This is not about abandoning everything, it is about choosing you again. It's about choosing to stop giving your precious energy away to people, stories, or expectations that do not feed your growth, that do not honor your soul. And it is truly incredible how fast life responds when you create that sacred space. You will meet new people who vibrate on your new frequency. Better, more aligned opportunities will seemingly appear out of nowhere. The weight will lift, and you will suddenly realize that life wasn't resisting you. You were resisting life. And now, at last, you are in flow. One of the hardest and most liberating truths to realize is this: not everything you lose is a loss. Read that again. Let it sink into your soul. Some things falling apart is not a sign that your life is going wrong. It is a sign that life is finally, mercifully, clearing space for what is meant for you. Once you truly see that, you will stop panicking when things leave. You will stop begging for a closure that you can only give to yourself. You will stop chasing after people who already let go of you in their minds long ago. The truth is, you cannot force alignment. You cannot hold on to what does not want to stay, and you shouldn't have to. Because when something fits, when it truly belongs in the masterpiece of your life, it does not have to be chased, it does not have to be forced, it shows up, it stays. It supports your peace, not your anxiety. That is where letting go becomes a kind of superpower. Not in a loud, dramatic way, but in the quiet, dignified decision to stop fighting for what keeps draining you. It's found in the strength it takes to stop trying to control what was never yours to control in the first place. And this isn't about giving up, it is about surrendering. There is a profound difference. Giving up is when you collapse in defeat. Surrender is when you finally exhale and say, I trust there is something better for me than this. Because here's what they don't teach you. The moment you stop chasing, the things that are truly meant for you start moving toward you. But they couldn't before, not because they weren't there, but because you were too busy gripping what was already gone. It's like trying to catch new, beautiful blessings with your hands already full of old, heavy rocks. There is no room. You have to release the unnecessary before the necessary can reach you. And sometimes, the most unnecessary thing you're holding is a version of you that has long since expired. The version of you that learned to shrink to be loved. The version that thought silence meant strength. The one that held it all together for everyone else while silently falling apart. You carry old beliefs like a second skin, not realizing they were never truly yours. They were handed to you, programmed into you, repeated until you believed they were the only truth. But your mind was wired for survival, not for peace. It was built to detect a threat, not to cultivate happiness. So if you've spent years in fight or flight, people-pleasing, worrying, overthinking, that is not a character flaw. That is conditioning, and what has been conditioned can be unlearned. The real healing is in the unlearning. Most of your transformation will not come from adding more, but from removing what is no longer you. The outdated beliefs, the automatic guilt, the false responsibility for other people's emotions. Freedom starts when you stop rehearsing pain and start rewriting your role in your own life. You stop playing the victim, not because the pain wasn't real, but because you are finally ready to reclaim your power. You stop measuring your progress by how nice you've been, and instead by how honest you are becoming with yourself and with others, because honesty is a form of self-respect. And letting go is not just about peace, it is about truth. When you let go of everything that was never really you, you create space to finally meet the real you, the one who isn't performing, the one who doesn't need to convince anyone, the one who has been waiting patiently behind all the layers. And once you meet that version of yourself, that free, grounded, self-aware version, your life doesn't just get better. It becomes something you actually want to live fully, not just survive.